Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free. If the game is rigged, change the game.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Game changer, game changer, game changer, game changer. Game Changer Radio Network.
We're turning all of our antennas towards Jimmy Church.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
All right, what you doing? Fade to Black. Yeah. All right, let's go. It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, it's Thursday, it's Fade to Black week. Bespoke radio for the masses. This is Fade to Black. Today is Wednesday, July 8th. 190 days into the new year, 175 days left. We are live from the City of Angels Studios right here in downtown Burbank, California. COA Vapor. Doing it right now. Everybody vapes these days. Yep. Fade to Black. COA Vapor. City of Angels, they make the Fade to Black e-juice. It's called Fader Loops. Just go to the COA banner. It's right there at the front of jimmychurchradio.com. You're looking at it right now. Click, use it. Use the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not Special, which is free shipping right here in the United States. Can't ship that stuff out of the country. You can't do it. But you get your free shipping right here. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet, I am your oh so humble host, Jimmy Church. Welcome to everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. And tonight we have William Henry and his new book. Oh, man, it's going to be a great show. It is called The Skinularity. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show tonight. It's going to be dynamic. And first up, before we bring in William, which will be at the top of the hour, Alex Mistretta is here. And there's a crazy story that he has broken or rebroken. He has been investigating. And we're going to cover that tonight. The post for it, I'll get up the links. The links are over on our Facebook page. I'll get them up into Twitter, and you can go check it out. It was just released today. Been following it over the last few weeks, and anything that I can do for Alex. And when you break a story like this, something that is this significant, and it's a big one. And you know what? I'm going to save it for the bottom of the hour. It's crazy. All of the images are at jimmychurchradio.com. You can go and click and look at it. And I'm just going to say, when you look at these pictures, the pictures are from 1971. They were taken from a submarine down in the Arctic. And it's compelling. It's compelling. So we're going far and wide with this. It's been released. It's been out. It's now out. And Alex will be with us tonight. Also tied in with that. Now, if you go and you click and you read and you go to the Black Vault and John Greenwald, John, thank you for everything that you have done on this story too as well. I'll let you know what I just don't want to. What I don't want to do is just do the show right now. So we'll wait for Alex to come on. But Steve Murillo is involved with this. Steve was tied up tonight. It was kind of a last-minute thing, and he was tied up. But there will be more on that later at the bottom of the hour when we bring in Alex. But it's this is a Fate or Not family investigation thing, and Alex is part of our family. And there you go. Okay, so that'll be at the bottom of the hour. And then we'll bring on William Henry, live from Nashville, by the way. At the top of the hour. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. We'll try to have some time for phone calls tonight. This is an interactive show, and we'll see if we can do that because his new book, The Skinularity, is going to shock you. It's an amazing book. It's an amazing read, and we'll be going through all of that. You can also Skype in Fade to Black 14. The Twitter handle is at JChurch Radio. I'm watching Twitter. You hear me stutter a little bit because I'm looking at Alex's mug. Alex is a serious dude. Thank you, Mark, for getting that posted up so quick. That's Alex Mistretta right there. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurch Radio. What you don't see in this picture is Alex is like, he's like 6'2", 6 foot. He's a big boy. And trust me, he lifts weights, and he is in shape. He's the guy that you want in a bar fight. That's who you want. There's some jokes there. We'll let that go. Well, maybe we'll talk about that when we get Alex on the show. All right, and all of you Fader-Knots, if you want to become a Fader-Knot, just go to faders.org, www.faders.org, Faders. It's free. It's fun. Go check it out. All right. Let's get the show cracking. We got a lot to do, and it's going to be a very busy evening tonight. But first, just let me say, let's get this show cracking. Looking forward to it. I'm fired up, man. I've been thinking about this all day. And on the phone, working things out, getting things done, talking to our friends out there. And I just got to say, the build-up to this show with Mistretta and William Henry, I'm fired up. So let's do this. Today, Beck, that's right, not Jeff Beck. Beck is 45 years old. Now, you know what? I'm going to say it. His connection to that religious group is a trippy one. I don't want to say the name. You know who I'm talking about. And all of the talk about Beck when he was shopping his album and how Hollywood was really tripping on this guy, the bidding war and everything that went down on Beck. But he turned out to be all that. I mean, he's a tremendous musician, band leader. He's a pretty good singer, too, as well. And then there's that connection. You know, it's kind of weird. But you know what? I let the music stand on its own. Beck is 45 years old. Also today, one of the great ones, Warm Place in My Heart. Yeah, Rick just said it's about time he got Alex on the show. And those picks, Michael Anderson just said, where are those picks taken? Those were taken down in the Arctic, in between New Zealand and Antarctica. That's where they were taken. Okay? So, anyway, I keep getting distracted. You know, Twitter, when it starts lighting up, it's just bing, bing, bing. Becca's 45. Angelica Houston, one of the greats, today is 64. And I started thinking, you know, Angelica, it's all those Wes Anderson films and, Royal Tannenbaums, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, And the Darjeeling Limited was also very good, too, as well. And I don't know which is better, actually, Life Aquatic or the Royal Tenenbaums, because they're both, I don't know which one I've watched more, actually. They're both great films. But I got to say, there's another sleeper out there, you faders. There's another sleeper out there with her, where she is absolutely amazing. And it's Vincent Gallo's Buffalo 66, which I've probably seen more than the Wes Anderson films. So there you go. Vincent Gallo's Buffalo 66. If you never peeped that out, go check it out. It's an amazing film. It stars Vincent Gallo. He directed it. It's kind of like a sports flick in a weird kind of way. But anyway, Angelica Houston in it, her part in the movie is unbelievable. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out, Buffalo 66. Also today, Jeffrey Tambor is 71, and you will always make the cut, Jeffrey, because of Hank Kinsley. Yes, Michael Anderson just said, oh my God, Buffalo 66 with Christina Ricci. That might have been her first film. Or dang close. But yes. Where am I? Hank Kinsley, The Larry Sanders Show. Jeffrey Tambor. Yeah, what was that TV series he was on also after that? Arrested Development. He was pretty good in that too. He was great in that. But no, nothing compared to The Larry Sanders Show. So there you go. And so, which brings me to Twitter. And I'm going to shift off of Angelica a little bit. I wanted to kind of go the Wes Anderson direction for Twitter for the question of the night to get the show kicked off. I'm a big Wes Anderson guy. Yes, Rushmore, Bottle Rocket, and then Wes has not made a bad film. Okay, he hasn't, and he's got a style, and he's done his thing, and I know that he's got legions of fans out there, and anybody that listens to this show is a Wes Anderson fan. You have to be, because that's just the way that it is. So if we're going to go the Wes Anderson route, what's the best Wes Anderson film? Which one is it? Rushmore? Life Aquatic? Royal Tenenbaums? What Darjeeling? What's the new film about the hotel, which I just watched over the weekend? How could I not remember that? But anyway, the best Wes Anderson film. He's got a couple of new ones coming out too as well. Best Wes Anderson. I want to know. Okay. All right. Where am Addams Family was her first? Was that Christina Ricci's first? Yeah, you know what, it had to be. Yeah, she was a kid in that. All right, we're up against our first break. Oh man, I love Starbucks. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @JChurchRadio. I will remind you, in a few short minutes, Alex Mistretta is coming on, breaking a story, and it's a good one for all of ufology. And then at the top of the hour, William Henry is with us and his new book, The Skinularity. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planets. I'll be back right after this. Do not touch that mouse. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Yeah, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. The Game Changer Network, KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Henry is with us, The Skinularity, his new book. 10 short minutes. We will have Alex Mistretta on here. Breaking a big story. You're checking out the pictures now. I was just watching Twitter. Dude, it better. I hope these pictures have been vetted before we get all warm and fuzzy. We've done our best. And with that, I'm popping pills. Yep. Power Vites. When you do a show like this, 3 hours of brain-intensive working out, and these guests and these stories and the Fadernauts and the audience and Twitter and email and phone calls and all of that. 3 hours of focus. It only gets done one way. Power Vites. I just took one right now. That's what I do. And I need it. And I need to focus. Also, for some reason, when I do that late night dinner right after the show, Power Vites sets me up. It really does. Think about it. Love Power Vites. Nothing coded, nothing hidden, nothing corporate. You can actually see the little specks of nutrients in every single tab. I do, and I smell them before I take them. And I know it's legit. Power Vites are a complete multiple vitamin mineral formula designed to naturally boost your energy. This multivitamin goes right to work, and it goes to work fast. It's doing its job right now. That's right. They have that same good bacteria found in better yogurts, and it helps your body absorb those nutrients. The Green Turtle Bay Vitamin Company are dedicated nutritionists and have been producing Power Vites right here in the United States of America for over 20 years. Go to EnergyWave.com. That's EnergyWave.com. The link and banners are right there at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Go click. Use the promo code KGRA and get free shipping on your order. You can also call 1-800-TURTLE-5. Live operators are standing by. That's 1-800-TURTLE-5. 1-800-887-8535. That is EnergyWave.com. Big day today. On this day in history, in 1776, the Liberty Bell tolls to announce the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. Crazy, huh? Fader facts. Google's fleet of robotic Toyota Priuses have driven more than 190,000 miles without a driver. That's a Fader fact. That's, yeah. No, what they, with the tag on the end of that is without a driver not having an accident. I can't vet that one and take it to the next level. Let's get to all the news that you know nothing about. Technology ran amok today. Technology went a little bit snafu-y. United Airlines temporarily grounded all of their flights because of a problem that they had with their own computers speaking to each other. And again, kind of vague. But flights were grounded. And not just in the United States. It was global. It was worldwide. And then the New York Stock Exchange suspended trading today due to, and I'm quoting here, an internal technical issue. Strange. Involving computers that only work at the stock exchange. And then the Wall Street Journal website, WSJ.com, went down because its computer servers weren't responding quickly enough. They may have just been overloaded due to the stock exchange. Don't know. I suspect. But all at the same time. Now, one of the things, the Dow closed down 262 points, and they resumed trading at 310. And at the end of the day, well, you know what? But the point is with all of this is I think that there's a common thread. And the common thread is technology. And the common thread is we're talking about internal communications, according to all three. United Airlines, computers that speak to each other. Stock exchange, an internal technical issue involving computers that only work inside the stock exchange. And all of this comes on the heels of what's going on in China right now. More on that in a bit. Yeah, it was a crazy day. It was just like when you have, China's main stock markets are down, yesterday it was 25%. Now today it's 32%. And it's Shenzhen is down 41%. The Shanghai Composite is down 32. 41% since June 12th. It's only July 8th. Man, they've lost almost half of the value. Today, China's Securities Finance Corporation, known as the CSF, announced that it's going to start lending billions of dollars to the brokerage firms so they can buy more stocks. They're going to loan money to buy stocks in order to stabilize things, or they think it's going to stabilize and stop the stocks from plunging. And it's a crazy circle. You're going to loan money to buy stocks on future where you don't know what. Man, it just seems wrong. Now, this is the thing. This is almost an internal Chinese situation. Doesn't really affect the global markets, supposedly. And then we have this happen today. Very bizarre. It's very bizarre. When we look at global banks and the cabal, this is, there's something going on. There really is. There's something going on. Let's watch this play out. You have Greece, you have China, and now you have the New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street Journal. Really? And United Airlines, and they're all yelling, it's not related. Yeah, right. We'll see over the next couple of days. Time Warner Cable, and I love this story, and this is a feel-good story of the night right here at Fade to Black. Time Warner Cable must pay a Texas woman $229,500 because it wouldn't stop calling her. That's right. A federal judge laid this down today. The automated calls, there were 153 of them, kept coming even after, and her name is Araceli King, notified the company that it was calling the wrong person. They were intended for a different customer. Yes. Now, after the judgment came down, and after she warned them, and after everything else, you know what they did? They called 74 more times. And the judge said The judge said $1,500 a call. $1,500 a call. Now, if you're getting those robotic calls, let them know. Don't call me anymore. And then log them all in. Every single one. Take them to court. Time Warner, please. Ghost hunters hoping to explore Mississippi's abandoned Coon Memorial State Hospital, and it is considered one of the most haunted sites in the state. They go and they're going to plan their little ghost hunting mission. You know, they got their infrared, they got their night vision, right? They're heading in, and then guess what happened? They stumbled upon a real-life crime scene. Vicksburg police say the group found the body of a missing woman, and her name is Sharon Wilson, 69 years old, outside of the hospital. And then there was a trail of blood from the body that went upstairs into the hospital. All of you paranormal guys out there, that's the last thing, the last thing you'd want to find. And it kind of ties into this next story. And this is real. A New Jersey couple says the $1.3 million dream home that they bought in Westfield a year ago came with 6 bedrooms, a big lawn for their 3 kids, and a creepy stalker. That's right. They move into the house, and then 3 days later, after they took possession, letters started showing up signed by the Watcher. And the Watcher starts saying things like, the home has been subject of my family for decades. And things like, I've been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. Eerier, creepier still, the individual started saying things like, have you found what's in the walls yet? And says, I'm pleased to know your names now and the name of the young blood you have brought to me. The individual also inquires about who is sleeping in each bedroom so he can plan better, end quote. Well, the family moved out. And you know what? The family is suing the previous owners because they want their money back, plus interest, claiming they concealed the stalker from them. And apparently the previous owners knew all about it. They had to get out of the house. They put that sucker on the market, sold it, and got out of town and took the money. Well, looks like they're going to own the home again. Suspiciously high radiation levels around the Austrian town of St. Gorgon de Gusen had, there were these rumors and theories that there was a buried bunker nearby where Nazis had tested nuclear weapons during World War II. Well, those suspicions came one step closer to being confirmed after the opening of a 75-acre underground complex, which was dug out from below the earth, and granite was used to seal off the entrance. Yes, they're shooting a documentary about this right now. And the weapons facility, it's been revealed, it was manned by none other than SS General Hans Kammler. Yes, the Die Glock Hans Kammler. We're about to get to the bottom of this. I am fired up. There's going to be some news about this coming up and more. I'll stay on top of this, and you know I will. This is Fade to Black. I'm going to come back after this break. We're going to be joined by Alex Mistretta. Yeah, he's a fade or not. And then later on tonight, William Henry will be right here on Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planets. We'll be back right after this.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Today, everybody, the Fader Knots and planet Earth is vaping. and I'm very proud to announce our very own e-juice. When we were approached by City of Angels Vapor about Fade to Black e-juice, I wanted to make sure that it was the very best and that the flavors were something that I could create myself. And we did just that. Introducing Fade to Black Fader Loops. This will take you right back to Saturday morning cartoons and your favorite bowl of Fruity Loopy cereal. Just click on the banner or go to www.coavapor.com. Enter the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not special. That's www.coavapor.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Attention, all Fader Knots. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com. Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Fade to Black. Yes, it is. And it is bespoke radio for the masses. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Henry is with us at the top of the hour. And as leading up to all of this is Alex Mistretta. I've got Alex here now, and I'm going to warm this up a little bit. First off, hi, Alex. How are you tonight? Alex?
Yep.
Okay.
How are you?
Okay, that was bizarre. Don't freak me out. I don't need a moment of silence,
No, that was my phone. It went silent for a second, actually.
Okay. Stay right there. Alex, over the last few weeks, first off, Alex Mistretta, welcome to the show. Alex is not only a friend of the show, he's a friend of mine, and for quite a while, but he is also he's one of the most down guys that I know, and he's a real researcher. And for the audience out there, you know that like last year, Skinwalker Ranch, people talk about things. Alex went there with Steve Morello and called into the show, boots on the ground stuff, and he has done this time and time again. He's a great author too as well. But over the last few weeks, he started leaking out this story that he has been working on. And it involves a United States submarine, the USS Trepang, SSN number 674. And I started looking at these, and he's leaking the pictures out and getting this story out, and I was floored. I was absolutely floored. Well, today, the cat is out of the bag. It's way, 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 way out of the bag now. We'll talk about, well, Alex, you and I can talk about that off of the air, some of the other things that are going on with this, but the cat is now out of the bag. Alex is here tonight to break this story, re-break the story, actually, and it's a story that is It is how many years old now? We're going on, 44 years, I guess, right, Alex?
Yeah, it dates from March 1971.
1971. Now, the photographs are at jimmychurchradio.com. You can go there now. If you are at jimmychurchradio.com, the gallery is there. You can click on it. We will also start to peel these off and post these into Twitter over the next 25 minutes or so. So if you want to follow them on Twitter, just go to @JChurchRadio, hashtag F2B, and you will see the feed. And the pictures are now starting to trickle out. Alex, let's start here. Where did you first hear about this story?
Well, as you know, I have some sources in Europe that I've used throughout the years for different investigations, some UFO related, some not. They alerted me to these pictures that were coming out. You know, I mean, I hear that a lot, right? So first I'm like, yeah, whatever, more pictures, you know, we've all seen hundreds of these, right? And they were coming out in a magazine in Europe called Top Secret. So I checked it out, and right away, which doesn't happen to me that often, I was pretty much floored. I'm like, I need this case. I want it. This one has to be mine.
Right.
So I got involved. I took the case, got the photographs, and I started releasing them, and then started doing research literally at the middle of the night, that a few hours later. And these pictures are, and I checked everywhere. I spent hours on the internet. They've never been released until just a couple of weeks ago. So they're not from a movie. They're not from a book. They're not, you know, they're not old pictures. Whoever released these, and it was anonymous, released them for the first time. And if it's a hoax, it's a pretty well done hoax.
Yeah, you would think. Now, there's. Let's get to the background now. The pictures were taken in March of 1971, and
correct.
So based on that, you and John Greenwald of the Black Vault, and thank you, John. He's probably listening right now. Thank you, John, for the vetting and fact checking that you have done on this. And there was a few pieces of information that were released along with these photographs, dates, times, the admiral of the submarine, and so forth, right, and the location. So let's start there, because when you say, if it's a hoax, and I agree with you, if it's a hoax, somebody really went to some great lengths to get a hull number off of a submarine, find out where it was on said date, and be able to piece all of this together. Everything seems to have fallen into place. So let's go there. What's the submarine? Who's the admiral?
Okay, first of all, the admiral is called Dean Reynolds Sackett. He was the admiral on the Navy's USS Trepang SSN 674. And according to the anonymous source that released the pictures, they claimed that this submarine was between Iceland and the Mayen Island in March of 1971. Mayen is an island owned by Norway's military and their meteorological institute. And he claimed that the sub was there on scientific research in March, and that they, by complete serendipity, came across this object. So before I get to that, obviously, first thing I did was check to make sure this was a real sub. It was there in March 1971, and Admiral Dean Reynolds Sackett was a real person. All that checked. All that happened. We know for sure the sub was at that location in March 1971, and Dean Reynolds Sackett was indeed the admiral on that sub. And as you just alluded to, I asked John, of course, to recheck from his side, just to make sure, I got it right and all that. And so the story goes from there. They came upon this object, like I said, complete accident, or so it says, and they started taking these pictures, and which was the pictures that I released all over the place. Now, so obviously, after all that, it still didn't prove that, there's a direct correlation between the sub and the pictures. Obviously, anybody could have just done a lot of fact checking and came up with the story of the sub and Dean Reynolds Sackett and all that. So we called. Well, I asked, first of all, as you know, I work with Steve Murillo, as you just mentioned, and Steve's a Navy guy. So I thought that Steve would be the best source to talk to Sackett, because maybe, with that Navy connection, you might be more willing to talk to him. And so Steve called him today, and to confirm that not only was a submarine there at that time and that he was indeed the admiral on that ship, and he said yes. Now, as soon as we mentioned the UFO thing, he got a little offstandish, and his comment was, all I saw was ice.
Okay, so let's stop right there, because this is actually significant and amazing at the same time. So I want everybody to understand. You bring in Steve Murillo because he's a Navy guy. He graduated from the Naval Academy. He's got his credentials and so forth. You guys get the Rear Admiral Sackett's phone number. Rear Admiral Dean Reynolds Sackett, who was the commander of the sub that was there in March of 1971. The hull number was confirmed, and you can go back and check the locations of submarines throughout history with its hull number and locate it. And sure enough, the Trepang was there at this location in 1971, out in the middle of the Arctic, in the ocean, on the said date. I want to set all of these facts straight. These are facts that were checked, correct?
Absolutely, 100%.
So then, and Steve being that guy, he called Rear Admiral Sackett. And I wonder how old he is today, by the way. Do you have any idea?
He graduated in 1956 from the Naval Academy, so he has to be late 80s, I guess. We didn't calculate it completely, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, it says here that he was still commanding subs up until 1978.
Right, yeah.
And again, a nuclear capable repair ship and so forth. So anyway, okay, so now Steve calls the Admiral today, not yesterday, not last week. We're talking about this happened earlier today. And how long was that conversation for with Sackett?
Pretty quick, about 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. You had him on the phone. And how did Steve identify himself when Sackett picked up?
Well, Steve and I prepped a little bit before that. So all Steve did was he called him. He's like, hi, my name's Steve Murillo. I gave him his Navy credentials and all that. And he's like, and I kind of got a strange request for you. I have a question about UFOs. And he's like, and Steve explained to him that he got into the field because he had some experiences prior in his life. And then he told the Admiral, he's like, look, this story started coming out that you were linked to about, this, the submarine, the Trepang, and this object that was photographed, this location and all that. And Steve's like, I'd like to know what's your take on this. And the Admiral was, it's paused for a split second. And he's like, yes, I can confirm that was indeed my sub. I was the Admiral on that sub. I was there on March 1971, but all I saw was ice.
And wow, man, I'm nervous just listening. I didn't even make the call, but it must have been a pretty tense moment. Did the Admiral seem like did he back up? Was he standoffish, or was he just at that point just stating the facts as we know it? I was the commander of the sub. That was it.
Honestly, he was a little standoffish, which I can understand. But these are people that don't flinch under pressure. And he was very matter of fact. One thing I did find intriguing, however, is I've made a lot of these calls and I've talked to a lot of witnesses, military and otherwise. And once you start mentioning UFO, there's always some kind of offhand comment about the subject. Some comment, some acknowledgement that you mentioned UFO. In this case, there was none whatsoever.
Right.
And I might be, kind of like, reaching here a little bit, but I found that a little bit intriguing.
He didn't hang up.
No.
Okay, so we're going to get to the photographs in a second, and let's talk about those. But let's stay on the phone call for a little bit. By the way, I'll let everybody know Steve Murillo wanted to come on the show tonight. He couldn't. He said, just tell all the Fadernauts I said hi. So let's get that out of the way. Steve he actually just had plans tonight. So he just couldn't make it on. He will be on he could be on the show tomorrow. If anything else develops over the next 24 hours, and this is a fluid, moving along situation and investigation by Alex Mistretta, and so anything can happen in the next few hours. If it does, we will continue to break the story here on Fade to Black. Okay, so that being said, how did what happened next in the conversation? It was short, but these photographs are brought up. And what happened then?
Well, so Steve asked him, how do you feel if, I put an email together, sent you all the photographs, and you can take a look at them, and if you get anything to add, would you please get back to me, And Yanmo said, okay, no problem.
Interesting. And that was it. And I understand your candor here when you say, yes, I can, no problem. And then that was it. That's all that he said.
The rest of the time Steve did, kind of most of the talking. He was obviously a man of few words, but kind of very direct individual, which, in that position, I understand that type of personality.
Do you think he felt caught?
No, I don't. From what I gather, he sounded I don't think he was ready for this, but, very professional, I think, I don't think he didn't seem, there's actually no panic, there's no pause whatsoever, except for maybe after the initial question by Steve. So either he was prepped, ready, or it's just, guys, obviously in that position, they kind of tend to think really quickly on their feet. So, but I didn't get that impression at all.
What I find cool about it is he didn't say, "Oh, come on, go F yourselves," and
not at all.
And that didn't happen. And and maybe it's because of his age, and he doesn't care anymore, and that's it. And why would he say he'd be happy to look at the photographs and comment if it didn't happen? That's a very strange position to take, and it must have made you feel pretty good, I would imagine.
Yeah, because I anticipated that his initial response was going to be, "No, I had nothing to do with this." We've gone through this a few times in our lives,
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact he was willing to take a look at the photographs, because there's really no reason for him to do that, really, if you think about it. Two crazy guys are, want to check, see if I saw UFOs off my submarine,
Right.
It didn't give you that response at all. So
it's an amazing investigation that you have put together here. And let's go and discuss these photographs. I know you've looked at them a million times, just like I have. The audience right now is seeing these for the very first time. If they, unless they follow you and I on Facebook, and these have been slowly leaked out over the last few weeks. But that being said, let's go to this. Let's discuss what I think is what would have been the first picture, which is this object coming out of the water. And and what do you make of it? First off, it looks I consider this authentic. I don't know what the object is, but the photograph itself I would consider authentic. It doesn't look faked or anything. But what's intriguing about it and what's interesting here is these first four photographs show this thing coming out of the water vertically, and it comes out. There's some kind of water that's coming back out of the water. I would assume from the surface of the ocean, the vacuum that is caused from whatever. It probably happened fast. And then it turns horizontal and kind of parks, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of the sequence. The thing is, when I got the picture, there's no sequence to them, so I kind of had to guess a little bit, And yeah, obviously I agree with you here. I think that's the sequence of the first three. And it seems to me there's obviously something wrong maybe with the object, or it's injecting water before it stabilizes, And it's what, initially when I first saw this, my first thought was this is an experimental aircraft, and they're filming, this is one of ours, which, I don't know what the technology comes from, which obviously the report was that this wasn't one of ours, but, my first my first thought was like, this looks like a test to me to see if he's able to come out of the water, stabilize. But again, all I have to go on is those, few pictures. So
it's pretty, and the fourth shot in the sequence, if you consider these taken in order, which I do.
Yeah.
When you look at the fourth where it's stabilized, it's highly reflective, and you can see the background there, and you can see the ocean and everything reflecting off of the side of this thing, and it's pretty incredible. And judging from this, the way that the waves are, it's a pretty large. This isn't small.
Yeah, I mean, my impression of this is that it's actually enormous.
Yeah,
that's
enormous is
the feeling I get.
And then there's another set of photographs that I guess are color, and they show a burn mark on the side of it or something.
Right.
What do you think that is?
Again, I thought somehow something was wrong with it because it almost looks like kind of like a mini explosion on the side.
Yes, because it's smoking. Yes.
And unfortunately, we only have this is just one picture. I just kind of like messed around with it and blew it up to make more than one. But so of that one particular sequence, it's the only picture that we have, in color and with the dot. It's obviously the same object that we have in the other pictures. At least I'm assuming it is. But this one, there's obviously something wrong, in my opinion.
And or this is what I see when I look at this, or that the lighting of it on the side, it's starting to, for lack of a better word, transform. It changes shape because it goes from this cigar-shaped craft, and then you go to this. If you take these in series, it looks like it tips on its side, and it's triangular shaped. And that it looks like it is somehow transformed. I don't know how to explain it, but when you look at it from the side, it still has the cigar shape. And then the other pictures, you can see that it is now moved, and it is a triangular shape with some protrusions off of the bottom of it. And for the life of me, it almost looks like a space capsule. That it could have that type of shape to it, a cone shape, if you will. But it looks like it has transformed into this shape. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I went through that possibility, and I think that last picture, the one of like just the bigger object that kind of looks like a regular flying saucer over the water, that's the end product of this object. Kind of like going from horizontal to vertical. And changing shape. So I could see that happening. Now, the capsule one bugs me a little bit because it looks so much like a space capsule.
But it would be a huge space capsule if it was. I mean, it wouldn't be a space capsule like Apollo. or Mercury or Gemini. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that would be a mile across.
Yeah.
Or something. Well, I don't know. It's hard to judge the size, but if that is indeed the case, and that's an interesting sequence with this thing tipped on its side, and it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I went through. I mean, I put these in a bunch of different orders, and I went through a lot of permutations. And obviously what you just mentioned obviously crossed my mind, and you could definitely see you can see beginning and the end product. It's everything in between that. It's just hard to say.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's there's something here, and there's one other thing that ties all of these photographs together, and it's the background. So when you look at the horizon, you look at in every single shot, the water's the same, the background's the same, the sky is the same. It looks to me, obviously, from the atmospheric conditions, that this is all shot on the same location. They all have the same general shape, and then you throw in all of the other facts that are tied with this. Which are the sub, the rear admiral, the location, the date, the hull number. All of that fact checks out. So it's like one of the first times in history where we've actually got a face on the commander of the submarine. We know who he is. We know the submarine. We know its location. We know the date, and we have the photographs to tie all of this together. It's a pretty extraordinary situation you've got yourself tied into, young man.
Yeah, not only that, I actually got the names of the rest of the crew members as well.
Well, yeah, I saw some of that too as well, man. And this is the very, very beginning of what I think is going to be an extraordinary investigation. And what was I going to say to you? I had something else. Oh man, I'm so tripped out on these photographs. I don't even know where to go next with this. And the next few days, as this gets out there, Alex, as you know, not only this show, but the other exposure that we have put into motion to get this out there, is you're going to have people surface. And there's going to be other people that are going to start talking about this. And there will be a crew member or two. We've already got one. But let's see who we can find underneath this. Oh, I know what I was going to say. There was some writing on these photographs. What did they say?
Oh, yeah, let me pull up my notes. All right, so these were on the last object, the one where it's the horizontal flying saucer looking.
Yes,
right overlooking the ocean.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So on the upper left, it said official photograph not to be released, CT. This is according to the French magazine. I haven't been able to actually, none of the pictures are enough quality for me to determine that on my own. But anyway, on the bottom right corner, it says unauthorized disclosure subject security certificate SSN 674, which is the name of the sub, criminal sanction.
Very interesting. And what does CT mean?
I don't know. I've looked everywhere aside from Connecticut. I have no idea what that stands for.
Connecticut. I thought the same thing. Yeah, I would like to know what CT is. What did Murillo say about that? He's a top secret guy.
Yeah, he doesn't know. We haven't, And well, we're obviously going to discuss it some more, and I'm going to try to, ask more people. But so far, I've got nothing on. Remember, this is only essentially 3 days old that I've, been doing this day or night. So we haven't explored every avenue yet.
I can't wait. We'll probably have you on the show again tomorrow night. There will be developments, I'm sure, over the next 24 hours. And you're going to be doing the media circus here over the next week or so. So get ready. But thank you so much. So, again, I do want to recap what's going on. We're speaking with Alex Mistretta. He has been investigating these Arctic UFO photographs that were taken allegedly. We'll stay there for now, but it looks like everything is vetting out and checking out on the USS Trepang, which is SSN United States Navy submarine, SSN hull number 674. These pictures were taken on March 1971. For anybody that is listening to this show in the future, all of the photographs are on a gallery at jimmychurchradio.com, and you can go look at the complete set. There are 11 photographs that were taken on this day, and it apparently shows a USO, an undersea, unidentified submerged object that comes out and transforms into something and then hovers over the ocean. The photographs are absolutely incredible. Alex, thank you, my friend. And this is extraordinary work. I can't prop you up enough. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, anytime, Jimmy.
You got it. That is Alex Mistretta, everybody. This is an extraordinary case. It is going to be developing. Like I said, this is very, very fluid. The phone call went out today to the Rear Admiral Sackett, confirmation that he was the Rear Admiral on the sub at this location at that time. We are breaking this now on Fade to Black. This is Fade to Black. When I come back after this quick short break, we'll be joined with William Henry and his new book, The Skinularity. Thank you, Alex. Wow. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Tepe.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's all here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you and Hillary for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Back. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'd like to thank Alex Mistretta for coming on. That is a crazy, crazy investigation. We will definitely be following up over the next couple of days. And tomorrow night, Mike Barra will be with us live in the studio, right here, live in the studio, for Rock and Rule Trivia. That will be tomorrow night. But tonight, William Henry is back with us. He's an author, investigative mythologist, spiritual voice, ancient aliens, and a star, along with his wife, Claire, of Arcanum on Gaiam TV. It's a new series and TV show that he's got there. William Henry is your guide into transformative power of art and symbols of human ascension. He has been documenting humanity's awakening to its spiritual magnificence for over 20 years. Inspired by great accomplishments of antiquity, William brings the evidence of our divinity by bringing to life the stories of ascension through art. He teaches the secrets of soul transfiguration or metamorphosis and connects people to one another across cultures, time, and space. William also is a technical consultant for actor Robert Downey Jr. You can visit his website, williamhenry.net. I would like to welcome back to the program our good friend, William Henry. William, how are you tonight?
Very well, Jimmy. Thank you for having me on the show.
You know, William, thank you for coming back. And for some reason, over the last couple of days, I've been calling your book "The Singularity," and it's the singularity. the Skinularity, but the actual title is "The Skinularity is Near." But I just like Skinularity. It's just it's cool and creepy and foretelling all at the same time, isn't it?
It is. It of course, is a word play on singularity, which many listeners, I'm sure, are aware of, this technological acceleration that we're in the midst of right now that's ultimately can lead to an AI or artificial intelligence infested society and a transformation of humanity. But what my book takes a look at most specifically and directly is how this new technology is actually aimed at human skin. In fact, we're in the process of creating a new layer of skin for humanity as we mesh our flesh with this technology.
When I first heard about the book and started checking it out about a week ago, and I don't know if you saw this, but there was this press release about new skin. And not only is it, this synthetic skin, but it actually bleeds. Did you see this release last week?
No, I didn't catch that one. I mean, it's like a blur. Almost every day there's something.
I read that, and I was like, that's it. I've got to call William. It was one of those things. And I'll send you the link. But it was a pretty... what's the word? It's kind of a scary thought that they would actually develop something like that, but then take it to the next level to make it so artificial that it bleeds too as well. They didn't need to take it to that level, but I wouldn't think. But there was a need to do it. But it's kind of a frightening thought that they would make it correct. Isn't it kind of chilling?
It truly is. I mean, and I'm sure many of the people that are that are developing this technology are right living people, good people. They're our friends and neighbors, and they may or may not realize, though, that they're part of what can be interpreted by some as the most sinister development in human history, at least in recent human history, where we're ceding the control of our free will and our future to mega corporations that aren't truly interested in the advancement of humanity. They're interested in the advancement of their corporate ideal. And humans are in the process of simply becoming things on the Internet of Things, that from every corporation, from Samsung to Google to Apple, are presently involved in this movement now to make everything smart. That stupid phone that we carry around, they call a smartphone, and they've got it in the hands of everybody. And it's Facebook's goal now to have a smartphone in the hands of every single human being on this planet, including those that don't even have a toilet or clean water. So suddenly there's this pressure, this movement, this accelerating movement to put a cell phone in everybody's hands, and at the same time to make us more manipulatable, more controllable, and all at the cost of our free will.
Yeah, over the last month or so, it's so interesting that you say that. And I do the news every night here on the show as we lead in. And one of the things that they're fighting over now, Elon Musk and different private corporations out there, Virgin Galactic, are trying to fight over space and getting these microsatellites up there to feed the internet, not to you and I, but to all of the places around the world that don't have internet connections. And just like you said, you may not have a toilet or a school, but they want to make sure that you have a smartphone and an internet connection. It seems a little backwards to me, isn't it?
It is. I mean, back in the 90s, when I first started following this trend, if you will, in this movement, I mean, the UN had said that half the people on this planet don't have access to a toilet and are 2.5 days walk from the nearest telephone. And so the UN's jumping up and down saying, "Oh, we've got to balance things out here. We've got to do something." So what do? Do they give people clean water and a toilet and sanitation? No. There's a rush to put a cell phone in their hand, and the reason is because ultimately we're more trackable, controllable, and more subjective to the NSA and these corporate interests, DARPA and others, that seek to want to transform us into hybrid beings, into transhumans is the term that, of course, is used. And this is the ultimate goal of the Skinularity. And I should just say here that I am not entirely against technology. There's wonderful uses for it, beautiful uses for it. But the problem is that, as we're seeing in California now with the vaccine issue, is that it's not going to be long before the choice to utilize this technology is taken away from us, and it's going to become mandatory that we will have Google's latest nanonutrient garment or whatever technology they want implanted within our skin, so that we are now all part of the hive mind, as the U.S. government refers to it in their technology reports, and we are therefore then subjective to this unified global consciousness.
And I would like to do something fun for a second. Let's get to the end of the Skinularity. Let's get to the end game, and then we'll back up, and then we'll go through history, and then move back forward. Is the end game? I don't want to put words or thoughts into your head, and the book is already published. But is the end game to replace ourselves with something that is controlled by corporations and the government? Is that the end game here?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's multi-levels to that question. I mean, in one sense, you have factions of this movement who want to dispense with the human body altogether.
Right.
They first want to make the clones, then they want to copy the contents of your brain, copy it onto the clone, and now you go off and you live for an extended period of time with superhuman capabilities. But beyond that, the end game for some of these groups is to dispense with the body altogether, copy the contents of your brain into an avatar body in a simulated reality, and you cease to exist as a physical being.
And
so,
go ahead.
So that's one end game. That's certainly something we can talk about more. But that is one aspect of this, and this is all of it. Ultimately, is by the way, the fulfillment of the Christian prophecy of the new kingdom of heaven on earth, when humanity will claim new bodies of light. This is a real key component of the Skinularity and this technological movement, is this fulfillment of these prophecies of a new human or a next human, a perfected human, a better version of humanity. So you've got people like Google and others, corporations like Google, that are playing God now and believing that their ultimate mission is one to perfect God's creation, to perfect the human body, to improve upon it, and ultimately to make those improvements patentable and controllable by their corporation.
And with the goal of guys like Ray Kurzweil and some of these singularity guys out there that are giving this date, Kurzweil is saying it could happen as early as 2017, which is a bone-chilling, hair-raising thought. We're talking about 2 years away,
right?
To get to this point. Well, the goal of DARPA, of Sandia National Labs, all of it is dark cognitive research for AI. Not only artificial intelligence, but artificial realities. And that has been their goal and their research, to get consciousness downloaded onto a hard drive. And with that, you achieve, theoretically, immortality. And they are chugging ahead at full steam, aren't they? That is the goal.
That is one of the goals. The other goal, of course, is to escape the planet altogether. The problem is that the human body is not designed for life in space.
Right.
And even the Bible says the flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. There's clearly a boundary. It's part of it is biological. Another part of it, of course, is spiritual. But just on the biological, the human body itself is not capable of sustaining life in space. And so in order for us to live and replicate in space, our biological systems have to be upgraded. According to the reports that I've read, our body can only appropriate 24 of the 91 natural elements of the periodic table into our metabolic processes. A technobody, a body that's imbued with souped up bits, atoms, neurons, and genes, can imbue complex form in all 91 elements. And this is key to NASA's success because this added capacity gives life the potential to cross the barrier or boundary of Earth's atmosphere and to expand into space. Otherwise, it's simply not going to happen. So part of their end game is to colonize our solar system and ultimately move out into deeper space. But we're not going to do that in a human body as we presently know it.
Let me ask you this, William, before we move on. Would you do it? Would you do it? I mean, it's perfected, it's done, and you get this. Would you download yourself into an artificial body?
At present, no, I wouldn't. My thinking has changed on it slightly over the years, and again, I've been looking at this starting in the mid-'90s and been writing about it since 2003 in my book, The Cloak of the Illuminati.
Right.
And it all comes down to a question. Let me just paraphrase my answer just slightly here by saying that I'm a student and practitioner of the Tibetan rainbow body of light tradition, but they call it the Great Perfection. And in this tradition, which is an extraterrestrial teaching, we're taught that the human body was designed to be spun into a vortex. We can accelerate the frequency of our body, spin it into a vortex of energy that ultimately manifests as 5-colored rainbow light, leaving behind only hair, toe, and fingernails. This is the Egyptian idea of resurrection. This is the Christian idea of resurrection. This is the attainment of the next level of human evolution or expression, a body of light. And what started to change my thinking somewhat on this is I got a phone call once from a woman who said, I was listening to you on a radio interview, and I was thinking about my son who has an artificial arm and an artificial leg. And she said, if I heard you correctly, you were really coming down hard on the technology side of it and saying, don't mesh your flesh with technology. And she said, are you telling me that my son, because he has an artificial arm and leg, will not be able to ascend into his light body or resurrection body?
Interesting. Yeah.
And that question just stopped me in my tracks because I certainly was not intending to say that.
It just stopped me. It stopped me in my tracks. Yeah, she's exactly right.
She's exactly right. And that's indeed what I was saying without intending to. So as I looked into it, it comes down to a question for me, and that is, do you believe personally, spiritually, that a cosmic divine force, call it the Holy Spirit of Christianity, call it prana of the Hindus, do you believe that that force is powerful enough to imbue technology or to be infused into technology? If you do believe that, and you have a technique for doing so, then mesh your flesh with technology. If you don't, then I would highly recommend staying away from it. But the thing is that Ray Kurzweil believes that they are going to be able to make God's creation, everything that we see around us, all the elements of the matter around us, earth, air, fire, and water in their simplest form, they actually believe that what they are doing is infusing creation with spirit.
Yes. That's exactly what he is saying. And the frightening part about not only him but all of the singularity folks out there is that once the machine does achieve that point, and it's going to be a very definitive moment. There's going to be before and after, right? At that moment, that once they cross that line, they don't need us anymore. And they will be smart enough to realize that they are smarter than us, and they will be able to recreate anything that they need because we won't be doing it for them. And that's the frightening thing for the singularity to me, where it just, we don't have an off switch. You know, what do you do at that point, William? You can't, do you unplug the machine?
No, we can't go back. We can't live without the internet.
We can't
from this point.
Right, we can't do it. And they're also, the machine will be smart enough to know that we would attempt something stupid like unplug them. So they will be able to circumvent us and be one step ahead all the way down the line. It's pretty,
exactly.
Yeah, it's a pretty chilling thought. 2017.
It is.
2017. Okay, so now back to my original question. Would you do it based on what you just said?
At this moment, no, I wouldn't do it because I advise people not to allow them to break the skin barrier at this moment. I don't think the technology is advanced enough. I don't think we have individual control over our spirit and our souls enough to be able to take that step right now. That leaves it open-ended, that it's possible to change. Every individual is going to have to decide between now and maybe 2017, as soon as 2017, certainly by 2020, from what I'm hearing. They're going to have to answer that question. We dress our body, we decorate our bodies, we protect our bodies. We put on armor, we put on clothing that protects us. We get tattoos. We do all kinds of things to our body to enhance it, to beautify it, and ultimately to protect it. We put on glasses to correct our vision. We put in pacemakers. We do all kinds of things that are corrective. But at some point, there's a line where each of us has to ask, is this too much? Am I now becoming more than a human being? Am I becoming a hybrid? Am I becoming transhuman? And the thing is that the ultimate determining factor in this for me is, do you still have free will? Can you turn this machine inside you off? Are you going to be monitored 24/7 by some corporation or government agency? Are your thoughts presently being edited by anyone without your knowledge? Are you presently inhaling anything, especially nanotechnology, without your knowledge? The technology is so advanced now that we might not even know how advanced it actually is. But the fact of the matter is that every single orifice of the human body is now fair game to Silicon Valley. They are seeking ways to get into every single opening in your body as an access portal or node for their technology. And it's going to be overwhelming for people if they're not starting to kind of ramp up to this. They're going to be slammed against this. And again, it may not be a personal choice. It may become mandatory within the next few years that we're forced to take this technology against our will.
Do you think the technology is will get to the point, and I think it's right around the corner, but let me set an example. And this is where we morals have to come into play, and where do we draw the line? But let's say somebody is burned head to toe, right? Boom, burn center. They're there, and then they wake up, and they have all new skin, top to bottom, and they say something like, "I thought I was burned." Could the doctors come in and say, "No, you weren't. You were just knocked out," and the sensation of the new skin, that we wouldn't even know that we had new skin on us? In other words, you have the tactile stuff, you have feel, you have all of that, but what about the emotional part of your brain? It wouldn't even know that it had new skin. Do you understand?
Oh, absolutely. And that editing, by the way, could presently be done by from a remote location, where they're actually able to insert thoughts into your head that aren't yours to begin with, but you accept them as your own.
And you don't even remember the burn. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah, wow, that's frightening. And we're right there.
Exactly, and this is why this idea of Google's idea of the synthetic neocortex becomes so dangerous, because they're seeking to have our individual neocortexes linked to their cyber version of a neocortex, the synthetic neocortex as they refer to it, and their promise is that you will do this because unless you are hooked up to the synthetic neocortex, your single brain will not be able to keep up with your next door neighbor or the person beside you in the corporation you work for, a company you work for, who is utilizing this technology and whose brain power is infinitely greater than your own. It's kind of like the difference would be, we all probably still know people that don't have a computer and don't access the internet.
Right.
And think of the advantage that you have by having a computer and being able to access the internet. Now multiply that by 1,000,000 times.
Right.
And you get where Google's going with all this.
The oldest adage in the world, or at least here in the United States, keeping up with the Joneses.
You got it. And you make a very good point with that, too, by the way, that most people aren't aware of. And this question that I introduce is why is it that this technology predominantly is coming or emerging from America? It doesn't come from India. It doesn't come from Africa, Egypt. It hardly doesn't even come from Europe either. It's coming from America. And the reason why is DARPA, for one reason, but it's also because America was founded on Judeo-Christian principles that one day there will be a second coming of Jesus when we will get our new bodies of light. And until that time, we want to accelerate that process of perfecting ourselves in hopes of attaining that light body. It is actually the Judeo-Christian ethos that is driving this movement towards perfection and this technology implantation in the body.
Let's stay right on that subject for a second. Let's actually expand on that. We need to run in that direction here for a second. Expand on that a little bit.
So what we do is you go back in Christian history, and you look at the development of the idea of the perfection of the human body. Judeo-Christian civilization, Western civilization, including America and in Europe originally, were founded on this idea that originally we had two parents. We had Adam and Eve, and whether you accept this as actual historical fact or folklore, it doesn't matter. The idea is there.
Right.
So we have Adam and Eve who are evicted from the Garden of Eden after Eve has this encounter with the serpent of wisdom and acquires the knowledge of immortality. The Old Testament God Yahweh evicts Adam and Eve, us, from the Garden of Eden. Two things happen at that moment. One, God Yahweh builds a gate at the east of Eden and places flashing, flaming swords in the middle of that gate and prevents humanity from returning through that gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing that Yahweh did is he made for Adam and Eve coats of skin. The traditional interpretation of this is that these coats of skin were animal skins, calf skin, deer skin, whatever. But the esoteric Jewish tradition says, no, those skins are present human skins. And before this time, Adam and Eve, humanity, were originally ephemeral light beings, living in a place of pure light and pure love. So from this perspective, our flesh and blood body is sort of akin to those orange prison jumpsuits you see on the side of the interstate sometimes.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
We are meant to transcend our human body. We need to return, according to Judeo-Christian tradition, to the perfect bodies of Adam and Eve, which were perfect light bodies. And that is the driving power pack of Judeo-Christian civilization. In Christianity, the belief is that Jesus will come. Jesus came to show us the way. He will return at a second coming. And at that time, we will return to our native, original, divine bodies of light, and we will live in a new kingdom of heaven spread out on the earth. So what happens is for 1,000 years or so after the time of Jesus, things kind of go along. People are just sort of living their lives. Then, in the early 11th century, there's an Italian mystic named Joachim of Fiore who suddenly gets the download that, wait a minute, the second coming is going to happen soon. And not only that, but we can accelerate the timing of the second coming. And what he said is that when you take a look around, you look at these guys over here out in the fields, plowing the fields with this new invention that enabled them to hook up multiple oxen to their plow. That invention was a gift from God, because God is saying, I want you to have more free time. I want you to be able to accelerate your return to perfection. So all of a sudden, you start to see these images in Europe, and especially beginning in England, of God with technology in his hand. God is holding a hammer. God is holding a compass. God is holding other tools, and with it comes this belief that this new technology is God-given, and it is meant to assist us in having more free time so that we can attain our Judeo-Christian ideal of returning to our original perfect light bodies. So this becomes a huge new revelation in the 12th century, 13th century, 14th, 15th, 16th century, on into the Renaissance. This belief becomes ingrained that technology is good.
It's okay.
And then
yes.
you come into the time of Sir Francis Bacon and his novel, The New Atlantis, in which he envisions a technologically and spiritually advanced civilization, not in Europe, but in America, that will be ruled by elder wise beings who know this technology and use it for the benefit of all. And that becomes the guiding myth of America, that America is now the new Atlantis. And what you have are people leaving Europe, leaving the old country, coming to the new world, to America, with this idea in mind that, hey, we're going to utilize this new technology we've got to create a new paradise on Earth in America. And that's why they came here. And that is effectively the American dream, is that we can not only become anything we want in this new land, because we're free of the influence of the Pope, the priest, the politicians, and the pimps that were keeping us down in the old world, but furthermore, we're free to use technology to make this happen. And it's not just the plow now. In America, suddenly we've got the invention of the telephone, the telegraph, electricity. The telephone lets us spread the gospel further than ever before. This is another gift from God. God wants us to spread his word, so he's given us the telephone. This is the belief behind a lot of these technologies. And then when we come into the 20th century, we see this dramatic acceleration of technology, and it then just goes into warp drive after the Roswell crash, when suddenly we're given this download of technology, the transistor, chip, so forth, nanotechnology, and now we're actually equal to the gods of all the ancient stories in terms of our capability.
It's an interesting statement, because you are able to not have to read between the lines in the words of the Bible. If you take it literally, then everything is okay. And technology is okay, and it doesn't matter which direction you head in, and that allows the masses to move forward without feeling guilt. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
That's
exactly.
Man, that is a fascinating way to look at things.
And this is
go ahead.
And this is where people, again, like Ray Kurzweil, are coming from. They're saying, hey, we aren't really anti-God or anti-human evolution. We're agents of human evolution. We are going to complete this process that was begun long ago. We're going to infuse all this dumb matter that you see around you is going to become smart through our technology. So they actually, whether they admit it or not, whether they realize it or not, are actually fulfilling Judeo-Christian prophecy, and their ultimate aim of creating these avatar light bodies is ripped right out of the book of Revelation. It's ripped right out of Christian prophecy of the emergence of the perfected light human, just like Adam and Eve were,
right.
and this new kingdom of heaven spread out on the earth. Now, it happens to be in a black box buried in a mountain in Mountain View, California, but that's beside the point. It's still this idea that we are returning to our original native humanity as light beings.
You say, I'm going to read one of your pieces from the book that you intro the book, and you talk about your talks, that you had started that the book is based on, but it's Albert Einstein's quote, and it's nuts to read it like this after everything that we have started off the show with. But the quote is, "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." And then you go on to say, most admit the remainder of his quote, which is, "In order to solve our current problems, the next human will have to emerge." It says it all right there, and it's exactly what the Bible was also trying to say, and what religion was trying to say up into the end of times.
Yeah, you're exactly, and that was the starting point for my question, the Skinularity. I mean, the next human. Who are we talking about? Is it us, or is there a new version of humanity in the works? And the answer to that is there clearly is a new version of humanity in the works. And whether you point to Apple, Google, Samsung, or grinders and biohackers, as they call themselves, working in their home garage, they are sewing technology into their skin and into their bodies at this moment. You have teenagers that are doing this now. It's gone way beyond tattoos and piercings and things like that to actually implanting, enmeshing this technology in their skin. And what I tried to do in the book is show that what this whole process here of putting on a nanonutrient garment, as Google wants you to do, ultimately, that it will send these nanobots into every orifice of your body and create a new layer of skin, ultimately. What we're really doing here is duplicating the capabilities and the capacities of the ancient gods. I go through in the book several examples, and by the way, the book, of course, is free. You can just email me from my website, williamhenry.net, request a free copy, and I'll send it over to you, and I encourage you to share it with your friends. What I've done in the book is to go back into the ancient past, into extraterrestrial interactions with humanity, and show that what we're doing with this technology is actually duplicating the technology of the gods. You will see examples of the gods wearing immortality cloaks. You'll see them wearing helmets of salvation. You'll see them wearing various necklaces and other accoutrements. Now, these could be actual technologies, external technologies that are applied to their bodies, but it's also possible that what these actually represent, or they're symbols of psycho-spiritual attributes within all of us. And what I encourage people to do is to make the choice to look within, to say, wait a minute, I don't have to go outside of my body to augment it with technology in this way. I can actually activate these capabilities from within. But it's a really tough sell for a lot of people to want to go park it on a mountain for 20, 30 years and meditate, or to do the deep spiritual work that is required in order to do this. But yet, in a way, that's what we're called upon to do at this time. But the clearer thing that became very apparent to me is that augmenting or supplementing the human body with tools, or I just call them apps, for a battle against an otherworldly force has been in the human conversation for at least 2,000 years. And I point everybody in the book to the writings of the Apostle Paul in AD 62. He's in jail in Turkey, and he warns of a coming battle and tells Christians and others, of course, to be strong and to put on a mighty power, because there is a force, there's a power out there, an otherworldly force. And he makes it very clear that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against what he describes as the rulers, the archons, the authorities, the powers of the dark world, and spiritual forces coming from the heavenly realms. And Paul says the only way you are going to be able to stand against these extraterrestrial forces is to put on a series of augmented technologies or accoutrements, which he identifies as the crown of salvation, the belt of truth, the sandals of peace, and the breastplate of righteousness. Now, the listener has to decide whether those are external technologies that one can go hopefully seek out and acquire if you're Indiana Jones, or if those are psycho-spiritual apps that you develop from within. Either way, once you put on this helmet of salvation and breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the sandals of peace, you are now putting on all of the accoutrements of the ascended ones, of the divine beings of the Old Testament. And you are no longer an ordinary human. You are now a transformed human being.
With that, how do I want to say this correctly? I don't want to be religious, but I also want to be prophetic at the same time. It was a definite vision of the future, and if you take it literally, then it's like today, and we can't. Am I making sense? I don't want to be religious here. It's still prophetic. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the powers that he's talking about, the archons, are what we now today call the gray aliens.
Yes. Yes.
So he's warning nearly 1940 years ago about an invasion of the gray aliens, and that to protect ourselves, we've got to suit up. We've got to put on a suit of armor. We've got to expand our consciousness. We've got to speak the truth. We've got to come from the heart, and we've got to be peacemakers. But what's happened today is that Silicon Valley looks at this and says, oh, well, we've got a helmet of salvation for you. It's a virtual reality system.
Right.
And we've got a breastplate of righteousness. Yeah, it's a pacemaker. It's an implanted device that we're going to put in you, and so forth. But, and that is the choice that we're confronted with right now, is that do we want to accept this technology, utilize it, or do we just say, no, I'm going to actually recognize this technology potentially as being something that's coming from the archons or the ETs themselves, and I'm going to remain 100% organic or mostly organic and maintain my own free will.
And there's one other thing that we're alluding to, but needs to be addressed when I hear about. And it's not only in the Bible or religious texts, but it's also like you can talk about Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings, rainbow cloaks of all colors. And this has gone on through millennia. And then we look at today with the cloaking technologies of garments and that technology of where we are at today. It's one and the same.
Oh, exactly. I mean, it's these ideas have been in human consciousness for 5,000 years,
right?
Maybe more. And now we have just a new iteration of it, or a new way of approaching it. It could be actually the original way of approaching it, that maybe there was this civilization of Atlantis that misused this technology. We lost it. We had recollections of these divine beings or semi-divine beings that had these power cloaks or garments that were transmittable. If you could get your hands on one of these things, you'd be a superhuman. You could levitate, you could bilocate, you could ascend, you could become invisible. All of those capabilities are attributed to these power cloaks or garments of the ancient world. They were passed from Adam and Eve down to figures like Noah, Nimrod, Gilgamesh, Elijah, John the Baptist, Jesus. Some are religious, some are not religious figures that claimed possession of these power garments. And here we are, just a couple of years from being able to go pick one up at Best Buy or Walmart. And that's going to have a profound effect on our civilization. What I'm trying to say is that this idea has been around for a long time, and here we are recreating or duplicating what we originally reserved as powers for the gods, and we're about to put those powers in the hands of an ordinary individual.
Back in, I have to pull this date out and be a little bit broad, but I'm going to say 1982, 1983. I had read a book that was a couple of years old at that point, but I read this book, and this is obviously way before the internet. Computers weren't even here yet, or desktops and so forth. So this is 1981, 1982. And in this book, I forget the author, but he had talked then about implants that would be inside of your skin, and it would be the mark of the beast, and it was that kind of thing. But but these implants were going to be there, and then there was going to be another electronic tattoo that was going to be on your other hand, and that the government was going to control everything, and there would be a computer that would wrap around the world, and everybody, and it was like this thing. And I read this, and he was basing everything from the Bible and its interpretation of different text. But here we are today. Here we are 30 years later, and this is exactly what I had read in 1981. That in my craziest imagination was never going to happen, and I thought it was nuts. And he had talked about currency going away, and that the currency would be in your hand, and
right.
And here we are today. We're spot on. We are truly there. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Today, July 8th, 2015. That is the world we live in.
That is the world we live in, and the e-skin, the eye skin, that is, it's just absolutely will be seamless with your skin. It will mesh with your skin, and you will have an electronic skin that will attach to your prosthetic limbs if you want. If you decide you might want to replace any of your limbs, we can also, of course, grow any of your new organs. I mean, the plans for the human body are absolutely mind-boggling when you think about it, and some are very attractive, and some of it makes a lot of sense because our bodies are fragile. We do have a limited lifespan, and the thing is that from a spiritual perspective, you're looking at this and saying, well, okay, do I believe in reincarnation? Yes, I do. Am I guaranteed another shot at the merry-go-round here? No, we're not. So that compels you then to want to make sure that you take the best possible care of this fragile vehicle that you're wandering around this planet on. And this is where you start to look at some of this technology and you think, well, maybe, just maybe, if I had another 100 years of lifespan, I might be able to spend 40 of those years parked up on the mountain meditating and attain my rainbow body. But then you look at that and you think, well, wait a minute. If you have this technology implanted, are the powers that be really going to be interested in you becoming a being of pure light and pure love and attaining your ultimate ascension and enlightenment? And the answer to that is absolutely no, they're not going to do that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
So there's conflicting goals here already that we're talking about. And so, again, I'm not suggesting that we want to completely dispense with all this technology because it's saving people's lives every day. But at some point, there should be a conversation somewhere that says, hey, what limitations are we going to put on this technology? Who's it going to be for? And what does it really mean to max out or perfect the human body? There is no discussion like this going on among really the spiritual people, the religious people around the planet. It's only the technology people that are having this conversation right now, and they're the ones that are running the show.
And they're the ones with the money, and so
yeah, and we've given them the money.
Yeah, and who defines? Who writes that law? Who is entitled to this? Not only technology, but the possibility of becoming a true light being or immortality, and who doesn't? And is it defined by money? Is it defined by family? Is it defined by culture? The country that you were born in? All of these things. Are we going to have seriously, skin police? It's those morals that we have to start to define. According to Ray Kurzweil, we need to start making this decision about 10 years ago, and we're not even close to doing it now.
No, we're not. And that's why it's a runaway situation. And people say that, well, this will only be for the elite. But again, Kurzweil says that as this technology advances and accelerates, it's going to become thousands of times more powerful than what we've got in the palm of our hand right now in terms of our stupid phone. And it will become thousands of times cheaper, too.
Can you define for us really quick, because we, believe it or not, you danced across it because you and I know, but the audience may not, and we just move forward. Define e-skin or I-skin, a clear definition.
I-skin is electronic skin. You can think of it as technology in your skin. One manifestation of it are snake-like strands of silicon that are key to these electronic skin devices. They allow them to be flexible like skin. And they are composed of stretchable circuits that are designed to extend human capabilities by making high-performance electronics virtually invisible and wearable, so that now your body will be stamped with this technology, and it will be your means of interacting with the internet and all of the smart things on the Internet of Things. And that's ultimately the key, is that in the past 5 years we've gone from having around 1 billion or so smart things, meaning objects, telephones, automobiles, toasters, refrigerators that were wired to the internet, to now there's over 20 billion. And by 2020, there will be over 50 billion smart things on the Internet of Things, which is what they call the internet. Human beings are going to be among those smart things on the Internet of Things, because you will now go from being a dumb human, meaning you're not wired to the internet, to a smart human with the introduction of this e-skin or I-skin.
That is just about the most frightening thought that any guest has ever said on this show. And well, it's frightening. It's daunting at best. It's frightening if we don't reel this in.
Exactly, and that's why I put the book out in a real short dose way to say, here it is, and what I present is history from the religious perspective, showing this is where it comes from. You're talking about the gods and goddesses of the ancient world, from Ishtar and Mari to Osiris, Elijah, Jesus, are the role models for the perfected humans, and their symbol is always this cloak or garment of light. And then I go into simply headlines, basically showing here are the world's major corporations that are advancing on this goal of creating this cloak or garment. Only the thing is, it won't be an exterior garment like Google Glass, which was a huge failure for Google. They came up with this idea of a pair of glasses that you could wear, that you could put on, that would wire you up to the internet. And there was a huge backlash against glass. And the reason why was because a person wearing glass could walk into a restaurant or a bar or whatever and record everything and instantly put it up on the internet. So what happened was people started putting up signs that had that said no glass holes are welcome. And that's what they.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Google Glass. This is what messed with my head. Is you or I or the man, right, the police, wearing Google Glass, suddenly you tie in something simple like face recognition technology, and then you are in a bar and somebody looks over at William Henry with wearing Google Glass, facial recognition comes into play, and on their screen, on their eyeball, is your history. Your criminal past. You didn't pay the IRS. You didn't pay a parking ticket, or it could be something else. They're not attracted to you now Because, it could be a single woman, but she doesn't want to talk to you now, not because you look cool, but because she's just read your identity in a split second. That's the part of Google Glass, to me, that completely offends me. Nobody's going to look at my soul or question me. It's already preordained, it's predestined that this person isn't going to come up to you. It could be your future life partner. It could be the IRS. It could be the NSA. And that's where all of our First Amendment rights go out the window.
Right. So this was Google's first major step towards the implantation in the body. We're going to have an intermediate phase is what's going to happen. We're not going to go right into the body for a few years here. We're going to have a phase where we wear our computer, like glass or Apple Watch. And they're going to make it super sexy, super fashionable. But the aim is not for you to wear it, but for you to implant it. So you can rest assured that Google is working on the bionic retina implants, where you're not going to wear glass, you're going to have it implanted in your retina. And perhaps someone will know, but more than likely a person won't know if you're wearing glass in this next iteration of it. It becomes invisible, becomes transparent. And that is the ultimate goal, is to make to mesh this technology with our flesh and with our body so that it actually becomes invisible or transparent, and you don't even recognize that a person is actually a transhuman.
What do we do when we come up? This will be the next phase. It's not going to be the implant in your thumb or on the top of your hand, your checking account and whatever, so you can go and scan your stuff at Costco. It's not going to be that. The next thing that we're going to have to face is birth. Birth. Child is birthed, and in the operating room, something implanted underneath your.
It'll actually start in the womb, Jimmy.
Yes, that's exactly my point. And what do we do then? And that is the nightmare scenario here. What do we do?
The designer babies, exactly.
Yes. What do we do?
The third sex, the designer babies. That is, there's all an aspect of this where we're taking control of our evolution and selectively deciding this is what we want.
With the addition of some piece of skin, and we're talking about silicone. Some of the audience is picturing something on the top of your skin, but it could be under. You wouldn't even be aware if it was underneath your skin. A circuit that is
here. Let me read this to you. Here's a scenario offered by Kurzweil for how this might work. It concerns nanobot technology, which is microscopic technology. And he says that these nanobots can take care of inventories, intelligently slip in and out of our bodies in clever ways. One scenario is that we would wear a special nutrient garment, such as a belt or undershirt, and this garment would be loaded with nutrient-bearing nanobots, which would make their way in and out of our bodies through the skin or other body cavities. And this miracle garment will be woven from strings of nanotubes that are 10,000 times smaller than a human hair. So it's invisible.
And what these little construction workers, if you will,
the nanotubes,
theoretically can take care of disease, could check your blood, make sure that everything is stable inside of your body. Theoretically, that's the pitch, right?
Exactly.
That's the pitch. But ultimately, it's control of your brain waves, your thought patterns, your habits, and then control of the masses. Am I wrong?
Exactly. Because ultimately, eventually, these nanobots, they're going to be everywhere. Google envisions a time in the near future when these tiny robots, these nanobots, will be embedded everywhere in our environment. And that's what they mean by infusing nature with spirit. They're going to be making dumb nature smart with this technology. That's their ultimate goal.
how do you sleep at night? William, how do you, with all of this going on, I mean, it's just, it's a frightening thing. And if you just go and read, just jump on Wikipedia and just go to Singularity and just, read one of those pages and just look at the world around you. We're right there, man. This is not imaginary. This is the goal of everybody out there in technology, is to get to this point faster, stronger, cheaper, shrinking circuits, shrinking nanotechnology. That is what everybody is working on, and we are right there. Just imagine yourself breathing something that you can't see that is made by a machine. That is frightening. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the Internet of Everything and walking around in the Matrix. Tonight, William Henry is with us. William, stay right there. We'll be right back. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Any questions for William or myself, hashtag F2BQ on Twitter. Twitter's on fire. You guys do this. We'll be right back.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Are you a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, or UFO skywatcher? If so, FNGinnovations.com has the product you definitely need in your investigations kit or go bag. Introducing the Morpholite Wide Beam Tactical Flashlights that put the light where you need it most. Traditional flashlights shine a focused round beam with limited line of sight in the dark. Morpholite Tactical Flashlights change all that, utilizing a revolutionary wide beam design to enable you to see safety hazards such as hanging wires and steel, pipes, and holes in the floor you just can't see with a focused round beam. In the field, where safety is paramount, a 180-degree beam increases orientation and peripheral vision in the dark. Morpholite flashlights are ideal for investigations in abandoned facilities such as houses and hospitals, factories, caves, and tunnels. Avoid those low-hanging tree branches that poke your eyes in the woods. Visit FNGinnovations.com to see a full line of tactical lights and accessories. That's FNGinnovations.com.
Now you can find all your favorite talk radio shows live, all in one place at TalkStreamLive.com. Listen from anywhere, office, home, or in your car. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com and click on one of the many live talk show hosts you want to listen to. It's free and easy. No computer? Download the smartphone apps. Never miss your favorite talk show. Find them all at TalkStreamLive.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst, Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Tepe.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, William Henry is with us. The Skinularity is near, his new book. Tomorrow night, Mike Barra will be here live in the studio, right here in the bunker, for Rock and Rule Trivia. And, William, I just wanted to mention really quick, this is a little self-serving for both of us, but you're going to be at the Conscious Life Expo with all of us here in Los Angeles, and I can't wait to hang out with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that event. That'll be in February.
Yes, February. And
2016.
Have you done a CLE yet?
I have. I did a run of about 10 years of them and then didn't do it last year.
Yeah, I didn't see you last year.
But I'm back again for 2016, and I'll be doing a all-day or a workshop on Monday in addition to a seminar on one of the weekend days.
And, of course, as you know, we'll be broadcasting from there Friday night, so we'll get you on the show.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
It's going to be great. CLE, man, it's such a cool... I just got to say, the people there, it's not... Well, the speakers, yes, of course, but the attendees, it's enlightening, it's emotional, it's so... how do I want to say that? Positive. Like it's a bright ray of sunshine is what that event is.
It sure is.
Yeah,
it's always been such a great way to start off the year. After the holidays, you get through January, and then you're ready to get rocking and rolling. And so it's always a great event. Always timed around Valentine's Day. Loved it. Loved coming out there to LA. Got lots of friends out there, and love the vibe is, as you say, just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it's such a cool mix too, because you have all of the self-improvement side of things, and
right,
and that. Then you have a little ufology, you have astrology, you have some lost civilizations thrown in, maybe even a good dose of conspiracy. And it's all of that all at once, and everybody is there to touch upon all of those things. It's great. It's such a great event.
Yeah, and you never know who you're going to see walking around out there either.
That's the beautiful thing, because it's at the Hilton. It's all in one spot, and you're absolutely right. It is. It's like the Oscars. Yeah, it is. You just don't know who's walking by. Everybody's there, and everybody's accessible, and the conversations are great. So anyway, CLE, and we'll see you there in February. I can't wait.
Look forward to it.
Now, this is let's go a little bit dark in that when the appeal of a smartphone is obvious. You walk around, now you've got your internet, you've got your email, you can make your phone calls. It's there. Everybody has a smartphone today. Everybody is tied to the internet. And so the appeal of taking that to the next level and getting rid of your cell phone and then touching the back of your hand, or just saying, okay, in your mind, I need to make a phone call. I got to call my mom. It's Mother's Day. And you do it all inside of your brain now, and you're talking, and you've got some kind of internal microphone that is tied to your neck, and you're conversing, and the internet is now going straight into your brain, and you can go and research or check out the next restaurant. All of that, the appeal to that sounds pretty exciting. It does, but the downside of that is all wrong. It's like 1% good and 99% a really bad idea. But if you're walking around with your eye skin or your e-skin, or forget about a quad processor, it would be some crazy processor underneath your skin. You are now the control of your own body and your own mind has been relinquished. That's the point that we are at. Or is that enlightenment or that goal really a good thing?
Well, that's right, and that is the question. And each individual, I think, has to contemplate that on their own, run it through their own gauntlet of values, whether they're male or female, because men and women sometimes think differently about utilizing technology. Where the person might be coming from an Eastern perspective as opposed to a Western. In the West, we accept the technology. In the East, they don't use it the same way that we do. You could have a religious point of view that you have to sift all this through. This technology will continue to bring awe-inspiring benefits. There's no doubt about it. But again, the trade-off is we're being watched and monitored and studied in ways that are beyond our comprehension. And we're about to add to that, we're going to be manipulated in ways beyond our present comprehension. By remote control, we become Pinocchios. We're like the reverse of Pinocchio, actually. Because Pinocchio, of course, was a marionette made by a man who wanted to become a real boy. We are real boys and girls, men and women, who are for some reason seeking to become Borg, to become puppets wired to an invisible internet. And I don't understand why we are doing that. And this is something I'm looking at heavily right now and writing about. I don't have answers for, but that's our essential predicament, is we are willing to hand over our free will and indeed possibly even our souls themselves so that we have the convenience of making a phone call or accessing information more quickly. This is why I say this is Judgment Day. Because with this,
okay, go ahead. I've got 20,000 thoughts I'm trying to get out here. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, this is Judgment Day, because using the Christian end time prophecy model again, we talked about the mark of the beast and so forth. But at Judgment Day, we will give an account for every careless word we speak, says the book of Matthew. On Judgment Day, we will give an account for every careless word that we speak. And right now, we have to give an account to every keystroke, every phone call, every Google search, every website we seek out is recorded. And we will give an account. The CIA and the NSA are monitoring this. So this is like some super force is judging us based on our careless words, the things we speak, or the website that we just kind of glance at.
Right.
So we're in a different era now where there is an invisible ruling authority that has power over every aspect of our lives. And if you don't think they have power, just look at people like Brian Williams and now recently Bill Cosby. These are people that have thought they had buried stuff. But we live in an age now of transparency where everything we've ever done can suddenly be brought forward and magnified for public view, depending upon what someone wants to utilize that information for.
Michio Kaku was on the show last year on Einstein's birthday, and one of the things that he had said, and it stuck with me to this day, he said, right now we are downloading consciousness. That's what we're doing. Dreams, everything. We are that is what we are working on. And I said, well, how successful? Well, it's not that, we are doing it. So if you are able to take consciousness and turn it into ones and zeros, how would we even know the difference between reality and not? We wouldn't, right? I mean,
we wouldn't.
There wouldn't.
No.
And if machines know that, this is where I'm going. If the singularity is reached and machines now understand that, then the line would be so blurred that we wouldn't even know that we made the transformation, would we?
No, we wouldn't. And just for what it's worth, Dr. Kaku is one of the primary proponents of the perfection of the human body by integrating it with technology. So he's one of the God players that is saying, okay, I'm with this program here that we're going to improve upon God's creation here through the interfacing of flesh and blood with technology. And the ultimate aim for Dr. Kaku and people like that is ultimately life extension, perhaps some kind of consciousness component, but there typically isn't a spiritual aspect of this. And that is what's missing largely in these conversations. And when you ask someone from this perspective, and I'm not naming individual names here, but when you ask them, well, what is your soul? Well, if you look at like Facebook as a model, what we utilize right now is Facebook is very primitive compared to where they anticipate going in the next few years, which is this direction. Each of us that utilizes Facebook right now is leaving behind what they call a digital ghost. Every thought that you put on there, every photo, they anticipate within 5 years, maybe a little more, they'll have supercomputers that will be able to animate those photos and take your voice and your words and put you in a simulated reality so that your descendants will be able to interact with a holographic version of you that is as real as if you were sitting in the room with them. That is your soul, according to their definition. Every photograph, everything you write on Facebook, is the accumulation of that is your soul. So from their perspective, forget about this whole ancient idea of a Gnostic idea of a divine spark, of a drop of gold or of a soul drop or a wave of light that came from elsewhere and temporarily inhabits the human body and in the human realm. No. Forget all that crap. You are solely the accumulation of every keystroke that you put into the cloud.
I wouldn't be that fun of a guy.
Well,
to interact. Well, and let's flip this over. Let's take this entire concept and flip it over. If this is where we are going, and this is an evolutionary process for humanity and intelligence, and this is the direction that we are going, an advanced civilization out there visiting Earth would have, theoretically, gone through what we're going through now.
Right.
So, is E.T. visiting us? Are they ones and zeros? Are they no longer, do they have a soul? Or are they just digital representations of themselves that have come across the universe and not aged?
Well, right.
Have they removed that obstacle from themselves thousands of years ago?
Yes, I mean that's the kind of the logical extension of that, because look around at what we're doing genetically and technologically. We're less than 100 years from having a warp craft that can take us from Earth and Sol to Alpha Centauri, our nearest star, in a couple of weeks. That must have been at least the level of technology that if the Anunnaki came here, as proponents like Zecharia Sitchin and others proposed that they did 450,000 years ago, we are living the level of technology that they possessed, or we're within 50 years of having that. We can do all the whiz-bang genetic stuff that the Anunnaki were said to have done to us. We can do that now.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we going to be in 50 years? Well, we're not going to be in biological bodies according to the trajectory that we're on now. So that would suggest to me that the Anunnaki weren't in biological bodies either, that they transcended biology. They lived in a post-biological or post-human state, and that we are indeed simply just following them into whatever dimension or technological realm that they went into.
Could they have injected that into our DNA to allow that exposure of technology to happen over a linear time span?
They absolutely could have. And you go back to ancient Egyptian deities like Ptah, who the ancient Egyptians said was responsible for fashioning the human body. That's their term. Ptah is the god of technology. And when you see depictions of him in ancient Egyptian temples or in statues or in papyruses, you see him wearing a helmet. He's got a necklace of immortality. He's got a feathered garment. He holds a resurrection stick. he is like the original God of technology that taught us to use these tools. And so, but he also wanted us to resurrect from this realm. So you could make an argument that this is an evolutionary paradigm that was implanted into our DNA thousands of years ago, and now we're the living manifestation of that, where we're taking our ability to empower ourselves through the use of tools as we do, beginning first from pointy sticks to extend our reach, all the way to Ptah's resurrection stick, to today's high-tech wizardry, which augments our limited physical abilities by the symbiotic use of machines. And so these technologists are saying, well, let's just go ahead and get rid of this biological business, and let's just become a machine that never wears out and is immortal. And by the way, you can download your consciousness out of the machine into an ephemeral avatar light body that resides in the cloud. And just for fun, let's just write some Christian prophecy where we have the second coming of Jesus as a light being who rides upon the cloud. That's what Christian prophecy says. At the second coming, Jesus will be riding upon a cloud. So what kind of cloud are we talking about? Are we talking about a cloud as in a computer in Mountain View, California? Or are we talking about a puffy cloud in the sky? Or are we talking about some kind of portal here?
Or all the same thing.
Or all the same thing. I mean, you can imagine if Google is successful with their synthetic neocortex and they've got all 9 billion of us wired up, which about 9 billion of us will be on the planet in the next few years, 7.5 right now, rapidly going to 9. So you've got 9 billion people with at least a cell phone in their hand. Some of us are going to have our neocortex wired to the synthetic neocortex. At that point, they could conceivably press a button and all 9 billion of us could experience the same moment of epiphany at exactly the same moment.
Or die.
And so they could have some holographic Christ waiting in the wings here to come down from the cloud, and everybody thinks it's real.
Or we could all die. What if they? What? And I'm not even trying to be morose or fear mongering, but if you look at the cabal, the Illuminati, whatever, whoever's controlling these red and green buttons, go or stop. Hey, we've got a little bit too much going on here in this part of the world. Too much consumption, too much disease, something over here. Let's just bink, and then boom, everybody just drops. And now they're culling the herd, if you will. Right.
And, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, this conversation that we're having right now, Jimmy, I incorporate in my presentations on light body and ascension. And I always save this conversation for right after lunch because from experience, that's when they get a little sleepy. They've had too many carbs or whatever, and they start to kind of want to nod out. So I'll put this conversation in right after lunch, and the next thing I know, everybody's blood is boiling. Because one, that they either don't know anything about this and are really upset to learn about it, or two, they just refuse to accept that this is reality, or three, they believe that this is never going to happen. There's going to be some kind of cosmic intervention here, an asteroid, solar flare, something's going to hijack or jackknife this Illuminati plot to destroy humanity. And part of me says, I hope you're right, because the trajectory of this is that we're looking at the elimination of humanity as we know it. Homo sapiens sapien, as you and I know ourselves as flesh and blood beings, is over with in this scenario. And barring any kind of extraterrestrial intervention, be it some kind of a cosmic catastrophe or other extinction level event, we are on a one-way track for this to happen, and we're doing really virtually nothing about it.
Nancy just tweeted. She says, "Do you feel that the biomechanical body would or will interfere with the relationship of the higher self?"
Well, that goes back to my earlier question, which it all seems to boil down to me, which is, do you believe that a transhuman, a biomechanical body, can be infused with prana, the Holy Spirit, love, energy, whatever term you're most comfortable with in using. If you answer yes, that it can, then I would suggest that it could then be used to facilitate a better relationship with the higher self. So it comes back to this question of well, why did you individually incarnate on this planet at this time? What is your soul seeking? And are you here to be part of this transformation of humanity into transhuman beings? Maybe that could be what this is all about. And I'm just completely off the mark here in terms of my protesting about saying, hey, I'm not quite sure this is the direction we really want to go. Maybe from a higher evolutionary perspective, we all have collectively agreed that this is the better direction for us to go, that humanity is completely out of control, left to its own devices, and we do need some central regulatory body or group of individuals who can control us.
With somebody just tweeted, I have to ask you about this. We're going to be up against a break. Can I get you to hang on after the break too? Maybe do a little encore?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Randy just tweeted, and just speaking about this, he is spot on the money. He just said, how do you feel about ayahuasca?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the question. Do you think, well, it's an open-ended question. You can go in any direction, but I guess the obvious thing is there a connection to our consciousness that we're all connected and touching on ayahuasca and seeing ourselves and seeing the other reality that is out there that seems to be consistent, that other dimension that is there when you do you consume ayahuasca.
Right. I haven't done ayahuasca yet. I look forward to one day having that experience. So I can't comment on it from personal experience, but there is an important aspect of the pharmaceutical aspect of this that I haven't even looked at in detail in terms of the development of pharmaceuticals for introduction of this technology or integration of this technology. And most of it is aimed at taking away human empathy, building a better soldier. And of course, ayahuasca, as I understand it, is all about awakening our consciousness. And maybe that's one of the functions of the vine, so to speak, and the reason why it's becoming so popular in our time is to help people to wake up so that they don't go down this transhuman pathway.
Yeah, the one thing that's fascinating for me, I haven't done it either, so I'm not speaking from experience, but I have read and researched so many different experiences on ayahuasca. Obviously people that have never communicated to each other. Also, that spans time too as well. But they all have nearly the same experience, right? Mm-hmm. The same vision, the same connection, the same spirit, the same vision of this other world. Quite frankly, it's just another world that you go into, and
right.
and that there's that commonality between that. Going back to McKenna and so forth, and listening to his descriptions of it, but other people that have never heard of Terrence McKenna or never heard of Graham Hancock, they are just
right.
people that are experiencing it, and it is the same description of that world.
Right. And here's the thing. I mean, when you're talking about the ultimate end game of the transhumanists, it is the creation of a simulated reality that would be as equally compelling and interesting from many levels as what people claim or as what they describe experiencing on ayahuasca. They would like to live in that world, enter into that limitless space. And so the transhumanists are saying, well, we'll be able to make that happen for you. All you have to do is give up your physical body.
Oh, man.
And of course, this is the dream going back into the ancient times where groups referred to as theurgists, those who did the divine work, would use tones, lights, and plants, like ayahuasca, to open up aspects of our consciousness that would enable us to create a non-molecular, non-biological body that our consciousness could then be transferred into, copied into, and then we would go exist in this parallel dimension. They call that ascension, and this is what the ancient Egyptians practiced. And this is what the transhumanists claim they're going to be practicing as well, is the ability to take your consciousness, transfer it, copy it into a non-molecular, non-biological body, and you will be able to continue then to live forever in this new simulated reality.
Let's take that last break, and we'll come in and wrap this up. I've got a couple of really great questions and a couple of other areas I want to go into really quickly before we do this. And so let's just do that now. Let's just take the break. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, William Henry is with us. Oh, man. What a show, William. That's all I got to say. All of my comments to you in the last break offline ring true, my friend. We'll be back right after this. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. We'll be back right after this.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Attention, all Fader Knots. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Your oh-so-humble host. Tonight, William Henry is with us. We're going to do a little encore here. Have to thank William in advance for doing this. I know he's up late. And, hey, William, I wanted to ask you, where do I get one of those really cool Anunnaki necklaces that you wear? Where can I get one of those?
Oh, good. Thanks for asking. Actually, I got mine in Luxor, Egypt about 10, 12 years ago. And it's antique, and I have found craftsmen in Cairo that duplicate them.
Shut up! Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you for yours. Is what I was going to.
I get asked about it all the time, and people write me. They see it on Ancient Aliens or whatever, and they want one. So I found some craftsmen in Cairo that are absolutely incredible, and they make them for us.
Oh, really? I did not know that. So, Jimmy Church.
I don't advertise it, but if people write and they ask, I say, okay, well, I'll put you on the list when we go back to Egypt next time. I'll bring some home.
Okay.
I'm going back in October.
Don't scare me, but I'm going to ask, what does one of those run?
Well, they're not as expensive as you would think. I mean, I'll talk with you about it off the air, but
Okay.
it's less than you would expect to pay for a really nice piece of jewelry like that.
Okay.
And they're all handmade and real stones, and they're the William Henry winged disc necklace.
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus, but No,
you didn't. You didn't. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. I always love it when people ask, because they just tune into it, and about once a month, every few weeks or so, it seems like someone's writing saying, "Hey, I got to have one of those necklaces for my husband or for myself or whatever."
Okay, Rita, you heard William. You heard him. I'm just talking to my wife right now. Okay. Now, I want everybody to listen to what I'm about to read. This is out of William's book. And if you don't think we are right there right now with this, some of you are with us right now, but just listen to this. This is a quote from his book. He says, in 2013, President Obama announced the U.S. government's $100 million brain mapping research project called BRAIN, and it aims to map the brain. This was matched by a $1.3 billion commitment from the European Union. And then you go on to say creepy military applications are already being discussed. Leaked documents reveal that the brainiacs through DARPA are on the verge of being able to change people's moral beliefs or stop political dissent through remote control of people's brains. Like the Archons, if they are able to do this and they can change our life story, the concept of free will become a thing of the past. We may fully enter a slave age with the government, or is it the Archons, as the master. Brainiacs and the brain program and DARPA, and we can't leave out Sandia. Sandia's goal, they may be perfecting nuclear weapons there and making sure that they don't, misfire. I get that. But their other thing is all about mapping the brain and figuring out AI. It is their goal.
Absolutely. And it ultimately is about taking control of our individual brains, making us part of a collective hive mind. They've been talking about this openly since I've been looking at this in 2003. And by changing our story is one way that they're doing this. If you believe that you're just simply a biological entity with a limited lifespan, you're going to be 72 and out. That was my father's generation. It happened over and over again to not only my father, but friends of my father or friends of mine whose fathers also died at this time. A lot of these people just believe this story. Hey, you retire at 55 and you're dead at 72 and you're out of here. And that was one story that generation was told. And each generation sort of has its own story. And so if you grow up with the story that you are going to ultimately attain a cosmic awakening, and you are going to become an enlightened being, and you're going to join other spiritual beings who are capable of doing advanced spiritual things, and you're on that path, and that story is the guiding motif of your life. But if you've got a governmental entity that can come in and take remote control of your brain and start telling you you're just a cog in a biological wheel, you're just simply just one replaceable entity in a great machine, then that's a completely different, of course, life story. And that's what we run the risk of here of these brainiacs being able to do here, is literally to hijack the human race by editing us by remote control, editing our thoughts by remote control.
And with technology comes the criminal side. You have the obvious things like, pornography and hacking your checking accounts. You have that aspect. But then what about if we are reduced to ones and zeros and being able to be manipulated? What about our conscious and our morals being hacked? Isn't that the next element that we would have to combat?
Absolutely, and this can be done, as these studies are saying, and these reports are saying, without our awareness, where suddenly we're going to be finding ourselves doing things that we never would have dreamed of doing.
or our past, our past memory, completely hacked, that we weren't who we were, and we wouldn't even know the difference, and the criminal element could come in and literally change you and hack your brain.
Exactly.
What? Okay, let's try to end on a high note. Oh man, let's try to end on a high note, sir. I have to ask you, what can be done, or is all of this snowballing downhill, and there is nothing to be done? Have we crossed that line?
I don't believe that we've crossed the line. I believe that there's still time. And in the closing of my book, The Singularity is Near, I direct people to insights about an alien predator from Don Juan, documented by Carlos Castaneda in his book, The Active Side of Infinity. Like the Gnostics, Don Juan taught that there's an alien predator that thinks and treats humans as property, that our body is open to manipulation by whatever force deems it necessary, by whatever means, including the implementation of technology and the manipulation of our thoughts by remote control. And what Don Juan taught, which is what the Gnostics taught, we're talking about the Essene mystics back around the time of Jesus and shortly before Jesus and after, is they said that the only way to dislodge this predator is by not allowing ourselves to be immersed in destructive emotions, fear, anxiety, anger, strife, jealousy, competitiveness, the dog-eat-dog story or mentality. We have to keep that at a minimum in order for our light body, which they refer to as the shining coat or the robe of glory or the armor of God, the rainbow light body, the leaving behind of those lower frequencies enables us to develop that light body. And to the extent that we can develop that light body, we will no longer be under the influence of those dark forces that seek to take control of our soul. And this is Essene Gnosticism, this is Jewish mysticism, as pure as it gets. And that is the challenge that each of us faces, to be able to turn away from the fear, anxiety, doubt, anger, jealousy, and to put on this perfect light body. Now, the thing is that we don't even have to go full rainbow body in order to make a difference. Don Juan, again, riffing on the Gnostics, says that we only have to allow our rainbow body to manifest to the level of our toes, and that will make us invisible to these predators. They won't be able to see us. We'll be at another level of vibration. And then once we're able to sustain that our natural perfect rainbow light body grows back to its natural size. So what I ask people to do is to work on developing their light body, becoming aware of this. And as we do this individually, that will have a tremendous effect on the collective. And I'm not kidding myself here and thinking that this is going to be something that's going to be easily achievable. It's not. We've got our whole culture and mega corporations virtually against us, because they all tell us, who do you think you are to attain a perfect light body? You know, you're not some guru. You're not some holy spiritual being. Only holy spiritual beings are able to do that. But that's not true. Everybody can do this. And so that's what I ask people to consider, is that we all do have a choice. Whether or not one believes in predators, or whether or not you believe in extraterrestrials, or whether or not you believe in malevolent corporations, there is no question that humanity is being tested right now, and decisions have to be made right now. And it sounds trite to some, but choosing love and joy is certainly a good place to start in terms of combating what seems to be an overwhelming movement.
I think one of the things that I take away from that is the thought of disconnecting yourself from the matrix somewhat and backing off of the internet and maybe enjoying what's going on in the world around you once again, because that's your internet too as well. And
there you go. Beautifully said, Jimmy. Yeah. Get out in nature. Enjoy the beauty of the planet.
Yeah, I don't deny the power of technology. Without it, you and I aren't hanging out right now. Okay, so,
exactly.
So there is that aspect, but then there's the other part, which is, go walk in your garden instead of, peering into a monitor all day long, or and also avoiding the temptation of literally plugging in to the matrix and always keeping that line in the sand there, keeping your physical side disconnected. You can enjoy the internet and enjoy technology, but don't physically connect into it, because then you're in the rabbit hole. Then you are plugged into the matrix.
And that's what I advise people at this point. Don't let them break the skin barrier until further notice.
Yeah, that's the good way to put it. Don't break the skin barrier. Keep something, keep ether in between the two of you.
Exactly, and be aware and talk about it with friends and family. Consider all the gauntlet of the dynamics here, and just try to up-level other people's awareness about the acceleration of this technology, and that we still have a choice, and I believe that there still is time.
Well, what are you doing now? Oh, by the way, before I ask you the obvious things, I want to go down the list where you're speaking next and stuff, but tell me about your Gaiam TV project.
Yeah, so this is something my wife and I did. It's called Arcanum, and what we did in 12 episodes is explore all the mystic secrets and codes hidden in sacred art. It's kind of like Da Vinci Code on steroids, because we really go into deep detail about what was the origin of this sacred art and what was the intention behind it.
Oh, I think I lost you. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, you literally dropped off. Okay, you're going to have to repeat that. Something dropped in the phone. See, the NSA is listening.
Yeah, right. So Arcanum is the name of the show. It's on Gaiam TV. My wife Claire and I did this show. It's 12 episodes where we look at the mystic secrets hidden in sacred art. And we think of it as sort of a Da Vinci Code on steroids, where we're looking in deep detail at the truly mystic secrets that are hidden within some of the greatest art masterpieces of history.
Do you go back to ancient Egypt, or are you in the Renaissance with this, or is it is it everything?
Yep. Yeah, we go back to ancient Egypt, looking at the art and symbolism and how the Egyptians believed that this art was literally living and could transmit these cosmic messages. We see that exact same idea expressed in Renaissance art, and we come right up into the 20th century with the art of Nicholas Roerich and others that were on the path of these mystic secrets, and showed how this art is actually a way of awakening and enlightening us. This was the intention behind it. It wasn't just to create pretty pictures. It was to create a conduit between us and the spiritual dimension.
Interesting. And everything is on your website. I assume everything is there for Gaiam.
Yes.
And where are you speaking next?
Actually, I'm home for the summer doing some research and writing projects, and then in October, got a conference here in Nashville with Dr. Eben Alexander, where he's the famous neurosurgeon that had the near-death experience.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the afterlife realms and this idea of ascension and how we transform into light bodies and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then I go to Egypt, October 27th through November 9th. We still have a couple of seats available on that Egypt tour, which is going to be spectacular. And then in late November, I can't wait for this event. It's a Stargate Crystal type event down in Arkansas with Graham Hancock and Andrew Collins and a few other speakers. That's going to be an awesome event.
What's that one? I want to go to that.
Yeah, so James Tiburon has these events. He's been doing them in Colorado and in Arkansas. He's got a really awesome setup near Hot Springs, Arkansas, and he runs these Earthkeeper events, Stargate Earthkeeper events, and so he's got me coming down there, and as I said, Graham Hancock, Andrew Collins, and about 15 other speakers.
There is one thing I meant to ask you earlier in the show when we were touching upon this, and my brain just came back to me. I'm going to leave you. I want you to leave with this question, and it's just intriguing to me. It seems like the art and the sculpture, let's just say fine art in general, in Egypt, started off. The older you get, the better it is. Why did it decline? And in the end, it was just like almost sloppy. The best art, like in the history of mankind, happened in 3500 BC. You know, why the decline?
Well, I think the answer is, I think John Anthony West is probably the one that put this answer forward first, and that is that Egypt is a legacy civilization. There was an advanced civilization that preceded it, and those that were responsible for that artwork were part of that advanced previous civilization that then bequeathed upon ancient Egypt their legacy. And so it declined because they just started to lose touch with the original beings that did this, and the original consciousness as well that enabled them to create this artwork.
Yeah, I agree about the connection with an advanced high civilization before, that handed everything off, probably handed off the pyramids to him as well.
Yeah, definitely, and you can actually feel their presence when you're in some of these temples. That's what's so alluring to me about going to Egypt.
And then they handed off the keys to the kingdom, and then ended up with Cleopatra, and we'll leave it at that. Thank you, William. Always, what an amazing show. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, and thank you everybody for listening. And I'll look forward to speaking with you again soon.
It's WilliamHenry.net, correct?
Yes.
There you go. Thank you, William. You have a great night, great weekend, and I hope you had a good time at the Bluebird tonight.
Thank you so much. I sure did. It was wonderful.
I'll talk to you.
Okay. God bless. Bye.
William Henry, everybody. The Bluebird, by the way, is a really cool nightclub in Nashville, and he went to go hang out with a good friend of his tonight, and then came on the show tonight after that. And so just to clarify what the Bluebird is, there's no hidden meaning there. Thank you, William. Now, oh, man, a couple of insights here with this conversation tonight. And my conversations with you, my fine audience, about the dark net, the internet, and the Internet of Things, and the way technology is right now, what we do know and what we don't know, what is accessible to us and what is not. We are at the very, very edge of the point of no return. And by some accounts, and we talked about this a few times tonight, you need to wrap your head around one thing. By some accounts, by some very, very smart people, we are months away. Technology is there right now. I keep bringing up, we had Ron James on the show a couple of weeks ago talking about this exact subject too as well. In the downloading of consciousness, artificial realities, what is real and what is not. I hate making movie analogies to all of this, but The Matrix, not the movie The Matrix, the thought of The Matrix is something that we are all right there now. I sit in this studio and I look in front of me and I've got all of these monitors. I've got all this technology here. I've got the audience here on Twitter on my left, and I've got chat rooms on my right. I've got email. I've got this interaction, and I am immersed back into exactly what we're talking about. And I'm sitting here interacting with all of you in real time on the internet. And you're listening to William, and you're listening to me, and this interaction is going across with ones and zeros. And then you can access this later with ones and zeros. And we are there. We are so there right now that if we reach the point, like I said, and by some accounts, it's 20. Today, we're in July 2015. Now, if the math plays out, the math that has been projected, and we can reach this, he said 2017 to 2020. The earliest points would be sometime in 2017, that we reach a point where they, the machine, don't need us. That's right. They don't need us. They can build themselves. They can think for themselves. They will be emotional or not as they see fit. That is the point of tonight's show. We need to really think about that disconnect that we may not be at this point able to avoid. Now, if we are smart enough to think of an alternative so we don't cross that point and we are always one step in front of the machines, then the machines, honestly, well, I've already thought about that. Think about that for a second. They'll be one step ahead at all points. And anything that you can think of to avoid it, I keep saying, well, you just unplug it from the wall. Well, they all have thought of that already. Now, one of the things that they talk about is, and we talked about this earlier, is nanotechnology. And the thing is this, it's not about, small things and small motors and small musical instruments and small this. It's not that. It's what if there are, the answer to everything will be swarms of things. And when I say swarms, I'm talking about clouds of things that you can't see unless they're in mass. And you simply breathe it. It goes into your skin. You'll never see it. And then once it's there, it can build more of themselves. And that's where the control starts. So that's what we need to avoid. The machine will know that is the answer. And that's where it's going to come from. It's not going to be giant transformer robots bouncing up the street. It will certainly come to that at some point. There'll be a need for that, sure. But it'll be a nanotechnology, a nanobot that you can't see that will be controlling everything. Everything. It's a frightening thought. And this is Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, Mike Barra will be with us live in the studio. Now, we're going to be doing rock and roll trivia tomorrow night. Mike Barra is going to be here. We'll be giving away stuff. We're going to have fun. I want everybody to bring your A game tomorrow. And with Mike Barra, we're going to do a couple of different subjects, and we will lay that out tomorrow. I would like to do it tonight, but I don't want to have everybody get a jump on things and go and get on Google and come here tomorrow and outsmart me. But we'll announce a couple of categories tomorrow. We'll be giving away shirts and books and all of that stuff. But tomorrow I have help with rock and roll trivia. It ain't going to be easy because Mike is smart. I'm the dumb smart. He's the smart. And we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow night. So everybody tune in right here tomorrow night. Mike Barra will be live in the studio. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I would like to thank William Henry in an absolutely extraordinary show tonight. Do go to williamhenry.net. Everything is there. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady is by Dale. Webmaster is Method of Signaling. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, I am just going to take a wild guess here and say Alex Mistretta will be back. Tomorrow night, Mike Barrer right here live in the studio. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want everybody to be safe. See ya.